Don't worry, you'll get it. Are you rolling, Dero?
Yeah, rolling.
Watch I do my intro. Hey, liked the food?
Oh,
yeah. You had missed it, eh?
These are real potatoes, man.
You had missed it, eh?
McFries. I had dreams about McFries. That chicken. Hapo hiyo ilikuwa uongo. What I've been eating
Uko majuice.
Hapo kuna ka uongo fulani hapo.
That's so funny. Okay, Aro.
Yes, sir.
I'm loving this story. You're schooling me things.
Yes.
At this point of the story, we're at Johari Clef. I want you just to. Is there anything more that you want to add about this season? I'm sure in this season you met a lot of artists. Okay, continue.
So I said Johari Clef, as I said, my friendship with Pete, started playing with him.
Stop. You said then you met Milele.
Yes. And so there's, I think, a couple of interviews you've had. There's that big concert that Pete did called Beyond the Veil in 2000. And I was the keyboard player and I was so happy. I was like, man. And the opening act, in fact, when I found out, I didn't know that they were showing up. I think they showed up and called Pete and said that
want to do a thing here.
Milele show up, and guess who is part of the Milele? Kaima. First of all, that was shocked me because I knew Kaima he was going to do classical music. So Kaima, which is part of Milele, and then I was like, oh, this is the kanji that Tim was speaking about. Mm-hmm. And then there's now the other two guys, Hari and
Christian. And Maura.
Maura. Christian and Maura. Both of them are Christian. Hari. Yeah. So I didn't know them, but I knew this. I knew Kaima and I knew.
You're the head of kanji.
Head of kanji. So they do this gig. They completely tear the place down because they're this contemporary. Because we had not had that type of group before in terms of gospel music. Five Alive had kind of done it, but now they had gone into mainstream. So there was this gap for contemporary group, a group that is doing music that sounds like Darkchild. That the big R&B groups at that time were like Next. Those which are the other groups?
There's Beyonce. I mean, Destiny's Child, was it?
Destiny's Child, yeah. Destiny's Child had come, yeah. So this is around 2000. You know. Guys like Drew Hill now are starting to figure out, and the guys that I grown up listening to. But now there's this new generation of guys. So now, Milele fit the bill. I'm like, they have got their dance moves. The production is heavy. I'm like, these guys. And I don't think when the album was the album yet out. I think they're coming to launch it in Kenya. Forever. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
because
G21.
I'm coming there to G21. Yeah. So we do the concert, and it becomes such a success. So Pete is booked to play at the G21 concert. So the band. So now this is where I realized that it's always good to play with a heavyweight musician. Because while everyone else was in hostels, us guys were put in the bungalows as the artists. I'm like, hey. Us guys were even.
Me was one of the guys in hostels.
That was the first experience of being with a well-known artist and the treatment you get. Being a sideman and a touring sideman, you're like, oh, so you get this type of perks. You're like, oh, you're treated differently. You go to a hotel. Oh, this is what it means. Oh, this how. Oh, okay, wow. And then guess who is also in that side of the hotel? Milele. I make a beeline to kanji. And so we start having a conversation. So I officially met Kanji in 2000.
What? At G21?
Yeah, at G21. That's the first conversation we had. Like, hey, my name is Aaron. You met my bro, Nini. You're like, oh yeah, Kaimas told me about, yeah.
What?
That's when I met Kanji.
Dude, you're like, there was a moment you were Siamese twins with Kanji.
That's where, we'll come there. So that's where I met him. And so G21 now ended up, now I
In fact, there was another gig on that December 31st.
Yes. Now, before even let's forget that there's the generation 2000. There's a gig that happened in 99 to 2000 at the turn of the millennium. And then there was, which was big, because now there I was also playing because part of my Bapo connections. So I was heavily involved in that one. And then now, that's when...
And now you're in two churches. You're in Bapo and Lavito
Yeah,
Church.
I'm straddling both.
Okay.
Still at Lavi, but now Nairobi Baptist is...
Music.
Music is not... They're doing what I really want to do, you know? And then now, end of 2000, there's G21. And I'm still heavily working with Bruce. Then... early 2001, I get wind that, early 2000, I applied. Goi Odera asked me if I was able to join the Youth for Christ tour. Youth for Christ had these tours where they go raise funds and then take groups, do shows, raise money, get paid. And it was very attractive. They're in between college, they're like, and it's an opportunity to go to the United States of America, you know. And so, I've got Nini. I'm sweating.
No problems.
So what was I saying?
Okay, no. So NYF.
Yeah, Youth for Christ.
Yeah.
So Youth for Christ, I was unable at that time to go again. So this is the second time I've been told no. So that was also...
So they're the ones who now rejected you?
Yeah, I'd been rejected by Youth for Christ twice.
What?
Yeah, and that was also a learning moment for me to know that sometimes it's also not about skill.
What do you think? Why were they rejecting
Probably
you?
they're looking for someone else. So you may be very skilled, but that's not... I don't need you. It's not you that I need. And that was the teaching moment for me, like... Because, you know, as a gifted musician, you can think that doors will always open for you. Not necessarily. And so they're like, and of course it hurt, like, ouch, you know. So, come 2001, because I was really interested with the G20, because they're the ones who put G21. Because they're the ones who put up that big show. So now I was really, I'd always wanted to go to the tour, but I'm like, you know what? Probably it seems that I'm not interested. So in February, I get wind through JJ Ojiambo. He tells me that you're going on tour, because he had gone. He was scheduled to go for the tour in 2001. I told him, no, these guys, because his parents were affiliated. So I'm like, please don't. That story.
Don't play with my emotions.
Yeah,
please.
don't play with my. I'm not interested. He's like, I'm serious. I like sawa. So. It was, what was I doing? I think I'd gone to St. Mary's. Oh yeah, I'd gone to St. Mary's, and those were the days of the Metro Shuttle. Remember the Metro Shuttle days? So, for those of you who don't know the Metro Shuttle is this bus by KBS where they lied to us it's for bougie people. And hiked the fares and they used to play Kiss FM all the time. And so Youth for Christ show that opportunity. This guy is telling me that it's happening, and I'm like, don't play, don't mess me up. Oh, as time goes, I'm at Nairobi Baptist, and I meet Goi. Goi is the one who the second time told me, unfortunately, you won't go. The first time was one of the directors of the Youth for Christ. Now, the second time is like...
Your boy, man.
Now we're boys, we've done the gig. So he's like, dude, do you have a passport? Like, no. Like, so do you want to go for Youth for Christ? I'm like, but I thought Chris Adwar is going. Because at that time, I knew Chris Adwar was going for YFC. So like, no, there's some situations happened, so you won't be able to travel, you know. So like, I was like, really? Like, yeah, if you get that passport like ASAP, so
you're going.
You're going. So I went and spoke to my dad, like, I need a passport. Like,
yes,
tomorrow. Thank God for my dad and his connects. So I was able to get a passport real fast. And remember those days a passport, like,
yep.
So I was able to get a passport real fast. So he told me come to the YFC offices, and yeah, that's when I open the door and I meet Wendy, Mwiti, find
Denya
Masiuko, and I find Sarah Oyungu. That's Atemi's sister.
Oh, that's...
Sarah.
I know she's Atemi's sister.
Yeah, she was in the group.
Who else was in the group?
So basically what happened is that YFC used to have auditions, but because of the G21 and they were unable to do auditions, so they approached TTBC, the group. Like, can you do this tour for us?
What?
Yeah. So basically the three of them are in a group. You know? So they're like, sure. But you see, they were also working. They're like, yeah, we'll pay you. So whatever your whatever job you have, we can kind of sort that out in terms of tunes. So they're like, a year, we'll be away instead of a year touring the States. So why not? So it was a unique group in the sense that there were no auditions.
I get it.
Yeah. So I get in. I am put to speed about what's going on, the songs. So me and JJ, now that's when the programming element of keyboard happens. Remember what I talked about in St. Mary's?
Yes.
The O1W in Saints?
Yep.
I find that the keyboard they have is a cog. It's a Trinity cog. So that's when I delved in how to program. You guys give me a cog right now, I'll make for you beats. So that's why I learned how to make
beats. Because it's just you and
JJ.
You're only two instrumentalists.
Yeah, we're only two instrumentalists.
And your keyboard.
And the keyboard. So JJ can play both bass and guitar. So that's covered. So now in terms of drums, I was going to program all the other elements. So even the album that was supposed to be, we were going to sell there, all the music there is me and JJ who did. The guitars and the program.
What studio did you record it in?
That's a very good question. In 1999, I met a gentleman called Steve Waweru, who was working at this studio through Julian Masharia. Julian Masharia is like, I've known Julian for a while, Lavington Church, and then he was also in
Born Twice.
Yeah. So he had always been the studio thing, and he was working at Next Level Productions. And when I went to Next Level, who was working there? Chris Edouard. So now
Next Level is owned by Talia's.
Maurice Oyando.
Yes.
And Maurice Oyando was like this big producer artist. So, and actually it's interesting because when we were doing the G21 record, the OFC tours, the album for the tours, there was this young girl who was every so often in the compound. That's Talia. Yeah, because that's the digs was right there, and the studio was a container on the other side. So that's why we recorded the album. And this chick who is every young girl who's walked every so often wearing. Sometimes she come in the evening in school uniform. It's Talia. So now she's become Talia. I'm like, wow. Like this girl, man. And
she was an amazing musician.
She was. Because now, which of course now her work with Chris Edouard. So that's why we recorded the album. Okay,
we're coming back to this story. There's one that I want us to touch with before I forget about this era.
Yes.
You've mentioned Kiss FM.
Okay.
Kiss FM for me talks about an explosion of a whole different kind of music.
Correct.
It talks about urban Kenyan music taking the center forward.
Completely.
And then remember, at the same time, you were in Johari Clef. So have you interacted with any of these Ogopa lights or people, this music era?
You see, I joined in 2000. The Ogopa music had not yet hit yet.
Okay.
Because at that time, Ted was still ruling the air. Kenyan chapter 1, chapter 2.
You're right.
So I joined at that time. Now, when I went to the States, is now when I came back and it was a completely, that 1 year, Ogopa had just changed the entire scene. Because I was hearing it from then. But at that time, there were some few artists who ended up becoming huge stars that I'd already interacted with. One was Nameless. Nameless had showed up. I think he had come to see Bruce. And I think he was he still in college? And he used to have these blue specs. Those blue specs he always had. He used to have some longer dress, slightly slimmer. So I met him there. And then I met this girl who was in a group called Sobriety. And her name is Amani.
Sobriety?
She was in a group called Sobriety.
Ama nichukua simu bwana, tukae chini.
And so I met a couple of artists at that time. That's when before even I left, we did a tune with there's a big hit I did with Masimaira called Tiedero.
Hold on, dude, you are going to skip over that. That was a big song.
Yeah, that's the tune that just before we went to the States. That's one of the last production gigs that I did at Bruce's. And he gave me he's the one who came up with the idea. But then I told him I know I can take this thing. Because now I started listening to that soul stuff, some nice chords. So he sampled that beat. So Bruce is the one who sampled the beat. So the beat you hear on Tiedero, he's the one who showed up with that beat. And then he's like, can you feel it? I was like, thank you very much.
So listen to this. Oh man, if Mars wasn't in the galaxy, would women be in fantasy? Can we do without them, or we can't really without them? Please listen to my story.
So that was my first big
music production.
Where my breakout into the music scene was Tiedero with Masimaira.
No way.
Yeah, because I produced it.
And that wasn't done by Samawati.
No, that is me.
That is Aaron Rimbui.
That is those keys and that thing you hear there. It's me. Of course, Bruce had a part because he's the one who came and told me, you do something. Because I think he could see where I was going. So that was
the first time hearing a song you've done on radio.
Yeah. So when I heard it on radio, I was like, whoa. But you see now, I was like, I didn't think that I could get there. Because Tim had already been doing this stuff and had already started getting into this production stuff. And I think Hadid scored some tunes in 2000. I don't remember. But anyway, that was my first tune out there. So when I had it on Capital FM, I was like, whoa. And I think there was a show that the Hot 9
hits not homework.
Not even hits. Hits had not even come yet. Was it there yet? No. When did Hits come?
No, Hits must have been there.
Oh no, Hits was there. And it was Jimmy Gath who was hosting it. Or Big Ted.
That thing of Jimmy
Ted.
blows my mind. It's Jimmy Gath.
Or Big Kev. But anyway, it hit like whoa. So I did Masimaira's Tiedero. So
did you do any other music productions that time?
No, you see, at that time I was still concentrating. In my mind, I was still it was jingles, and I was not considering myself as a producer.
You're seeing, I get it. I get it.
Production. I did not consider myself. I'm like, I wanted more to be like a session musician. I want to be the guy who adds keys. Because at that time I felt like, hey, production is work. And it is work.
Yep.
Because you're the one who was to guide the artist, you're the one who was to arrange the music, you're the one vision and all those things.
And let's be real, you weren't being a producer, just producing jingles.
The jingles. But you see, for me, I was like, I'd gotten into the rhythm of jingles. So I was chanting them. me and Jonah were like, and then guess who I meet, who starts showing up? Just before I go to the States.
Who?
Two gentlemen who I'm still very good friends with in Johari Clef. And they just showed up before, because Julian left, Then Bruce had to bring in 2 other people to work. One, Ambrose Mandugu Digital.
No way. And Shaki.
Shaki was working at Samawati.
Yes, okay.
So Mandugu Ambrose is the one who showed up.
Dude, that's how. That's crazy.
So that bounce that everyone talks about for I was right there when he was cooking it up.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You guys, you, Ambi, and your bro and Kanji produced a song for us guys. Chit Chat.
Oh,
can you remember that thing? It's so crazy because it had Kanji, it had Ambrose, and your bro did as well. Anyway, let's talk about this States thing. Ambi is a whole other story that I'm sure we're going to continue.
Because now the Ambi story comes after I come back. Yeah. So the tour happens in June. We'll head out to the States in June. That was my first time
out of the country.
Out of the country. I'd never been out of the country before.
Even UG?
Never been.